Hey y'all, it's Troy, votefortroy.com. And here I am looking as a candidate for town council. And one of the things that I have heard for many years and even experienced myself and complained about myself. And if you don't believe it, you can go look at my old newspaper columns, which, by the way, if you go look at my website, votefortroy.com, you'll find a link to 6.5 years worth of newspaper columns that I had written for the Selma News back when there was a Selma newspaper. But one of the things that people had complained about in this town for many years is the utility bills. You know, I'm old enough to remember, or been around long enough to remember, when the town of Selma actually used to send out their bills on like postcards about that size. It was really simple. It was short. It was your amount and when it was due and your account number. Now, I can see why we got away from that because of privacy of information, and we wanted to be more like a real utility, and we wanted to update and upgrade our billing system. So if we wanted to be more like a utility, and by the way, make no mistake, we took it upon ourselves, and I say we long before I ever got here, but this town decided it wanted to be a utility company. Water, sewer, and electricity. Couple of things about that. Make no mistake, if you're going to be a utility, you better commit to acting like it. What I will say about the town of Selma is they have been, because we're a small town and we've got our own electrical department, our own electrical system, they're very responsive, and the employees that we do have are good about fixing issues. I remember we had a hurricane when we lost a transformer right down the road here. I lost power only about an hour and a half or so in the middle of a hurricane. During the eye of the storm, they were out repairing that, and we didn't lose electricity after that. So that's the kind of electrical department that we have here, and I'm grateful for that. There are, however, some trade-offs. The way I look at it, anything that you pay more than what you would pay, let's say, Duke Energy, is a tax. If you pay a dime more for our electrical rate than you would by buying it direct from Duke, you just paid a dime in tax, or in some cases, $100 in tax. I remember one year or 1 month I took a bill and I literally looked at the kilowatt per hour rate charged by Duke. I think back then it was Progress Energy, compared to the same kilowatt per hour usage here in the town of Selma, and it was almost exactly $100 difference for that month. That tells me I paid $100 in tax extra because I could have gotten that exact same product and service directly from the utility provider. That's the way I look at it. So I look at us as being a very expensive utility provider compared to going directly through Duke. On the flip side, if you have an outage and you have some concerns, they may not be as responsive, especially during a natural disaster. So our rates are obviously something that need to be addressed and can be a turnoff to people. And I noticed that they're not going to be doing the prepaid system anymore, and I'm not really up to date on all that and the minutia of it because I've never, quite honestly, ever used it. But what I will say is what happened to me this particular month, the very first time that I can remember while living here, is I actually paid the late fee. I'm usually pretty good at budgeting out my electrical use. I know that I've got a certain amount every month that I can count on it being fairly close to that. This month, it just so happened that with the billing date, all the other bills that I got hit with this month, and my pay dates, and how much I got paid because I actually took some vacation time, which meant for smaller paychecks, I literally got the bill, and I was so busy, stuck the bill in my little stack of bills, and I did not pay the bill by the date it was due. right, here is my electrical bill. At least this is a photocopy of it, so I could, write on it. But, I'm looking here, billing date of August the 15th, and due date August the 30th. Now, that's 15 days. That's only about 2 weeks you got to pay this bill. But then you don't get your bill for almost another week. So, when I don't get a bill until like the 19th or 20th, and then it's due on the 30th, that gives me essentially 10 days, 11 if I'm lucky, before the due date. That means you definitely have to have some budgeting involved, or else you're going to end up paying that due date. And you know what? 1 day late, 10%, period. There's no grace period there whatsoever. 1 day late, bam-o. You automatically got assessed with a 10% penalty, which to me is a little excessive. The last day to pay with late penalties will be Friday, September the 10th, 2021. So you have a limited amount of time before disconnections begin, like the next business day on the 13th. And there'll be a $60 disconnect fee. So not only will you have to pay the late fee if you pay on time, you have to pay a disconnect fee. Then I'm sure there's going to be a reconnect. But there's also permanent cutoffs will be September the 20th, 2021. Now, I went ahead and paid. And I did my payment online like I do every single month. But that's another thing that kind of bothers me. If we're going to be a utility, we need to be a utility, and we need to act like a utility. If I go to pay online for just about anything, whether it's my gas company that I deal with, previously the electrical company that I've dealt with, any other bill that I've got, if I pay online, I don't have to pay a processing fee, a $2.45 fee to go ahead and run that through, yet the town does. That's a cost of doing business. Just so I can do a draft out of my checking account, or a debit card, which pulls right out of my checking account, or even a credit card. Every single bill that I pay does not charge me a fee in order to pay by card or by debit. But the town of Selma does. If we're going to be a utility, we need to be a utility, act like a utility, and we need to have customer service like a utility. We can't be harder nosed than any other utility. One of the things that you guys may or may not know, the Selma electrical system, I mean, we're part of a larger group that wholesale buys from Duke Energy, previously Progress, and CP&L before that. You can get a rate increase at any time the town council says you can get an increase. We don't have to go through the regulatory authority like we do through the Utilities Commission. If Duke Energy says, I want to have a retail price increase, that has to get regulatory approval through the state. Does not have to happen here in Selma. The reason for that, so I am told, is that because we are a wholesale purchaser, that the utility can raise its rates without regulatory approval for wholesale customers. Then it's up to us to either absorb that cost or to pass it on to you. And sometimes the town has absorbed some of that cost. Sometimes the town has upped their rates and passed that bill on to you. Also, something to consider too, included here, obviously sewer is a lot more expensive than water. And we pay a sewer capital reserve, a water capital reserve every single month. And I want to make sure that those funds actually either get used or preserved as needs be. And then garbage pickup, $25 a month. I just printed out an article here the other day where it's cheaper than that over in Smithfield. So either the town is charging us more than they are being charged by our garbage pickup, or I don't know, maybe some of the bill has to do with the fact that we do recycling and we got twice a week pickup. But those are some things that I need to take a look at. and I want to have examined, and I want good decision making or taking, as the case may be, here, and be responsible to you. Whether you're a business owner, whether you're a citizen, whether you rent, whether you own, whether you're a property owner that's paying these utilities and passing that cost on to your renter, doesn't matter. I want these things looked at. I want these things examined, and at every possible opportunity to keep those prices in line, to cut where we need to cut. I don't care if we cut back to one garbage pickup. I don't care about if we need to cut electrical rates. I don't care if we need to maintain electrical rates because we're stuck in this stupid contract where we have to jack up our rates because of our wholesale rates if we're going to be able to keep a utility running. Those are all things to look at. All right, but understand, I feel your pain. I felt it for 19 years, and before that, working here in town, I saw what the business that I worked for went through when they got their exorbitant electrical bill. I've listened to people squawk about their utilities ever since I've been here. But the bottom line is, if we're going to act like a utility, or we need to act like one. If we're going to be one, we need to act like one. So that's one of my concerns as someone who would be potentially sitting on the town council. Well, as a matter of fact, that Smithfield article, Smithfield sewer and trash collection rates will be increasing September the 1st. So they're going to bump up all of their rates for water and sewer, but residential trash collection rates will increase from $17.24 to $17.65 per month for one rollout container. Now, we have 2 rollout containers, and I'm not sure how often they do their, I thought that they did twice a week. I remember when I was living there in Smithfield, though, I thought there was only one one pickup, so maybe that is only $17.65 per month. Well, you know what? I'm willing to go with that. I'm willing for us to get rid of our recycling program that we have here in town and save everybody the money and save the headache and the complaints about whether or not you're properly recycling here. Anyway, just some thoughts. I've got the long form to be able to do it here, and more to come. VoteForTroy.com.